Hello and welcome to Swift Education. My name is Hilary. Today we are going to have a brief introduction to SPSS. SPSS stands for Statistical Package for Social Sciences. It is a data analysis tool used for analyzing data that has been collected specifically to investigate trends and associations for social sciences. So let's begin. The first step is to check where do I find SPSS. Where do I find SPSS? SPSS can be downloaded from their website, the SPSS website. You search IBM SPSS and the search brings you to this website and you click it. Then you can choose try SPSS or try SPSS modeler. SPSS statistics is the common statistical package for social sciences which is used to analyze data collected for statistical research. SPSS modeler is used majorly for machine learning and deep learning. Yeah, you can purchase for it because you can compare SPSS modeler and SPSS statistics when you click this. SPSS costs $99 per user per month. So you can subscribe and start using. While SPSS modeler costs $499 per user per month. So you can download and use the trial version for this training or for your studies before you make that decision to purchase the full version. So I have SPSS in my computer and I'll use it for the analysis. SPSS. Yeah, this is the first interface of the software when you open the software and you'd like to use it. So let me come to this point and click this. So these are recent files that have been used analyzing. There's divorce statistics, data analysis statistics for divorce, and other open files that you wish to open. So SPSS, SPSS, this is the first interface that you'll meet, and you may want to open a previous data file that you have used before, or this is output file and this is the spreadsheet. So let's create a new data set. You click create a new data set and open. So SPSS has two interfaces when you use them. The first interface is the spreadsheet. This spreadsheet that where you feed all the data that you need for the analysis. The second interface is the output. This is after analyzing the data, all data is output on this sheet, and that is why it is called the output document. Output document, while this is the spreadsheet entitled to dataset 1, where you feed in your data. We'll find it in a while, such that we will see that the spreadsheet is saved as a .sav. Let's check properties. Yes, .sav, indicating that it is the spreadsheet where you did feed your data. While the output document, it is saved as SPV, indicating it is the output document. Okay, let's feed in the first data set so that we can make a simple analysis or understand how this works. So let's feed in the data. Assuming that you have conducted a survey, and you'd like to feed in data into this. So what we have to do is understand how this works. First, there is the data view. This data view indicates where all the data has been collected, and these columns indicate the variables, the variable names, while the rows indicate the data instances that you have filled in this. So before you feed in any data, you have to come to the variable view and feed in the details concerning each column of the data that you want to appear on this other side. For example, if I have 5 people that I have interviewed, and each of the five people, the data has been classified into 5 columns or 6 columns. What I have to do first is to fill in the first variable. What is the name of the first variable? Assuming it is an ID, the ID of the person that I interviewed. And the ID is numeric. There are various data types here. It can be a numeric, a comma, a dot, a scientific notation, a date, a dollar, custom currency, string, restricted string, and such. So for the ID, we will use string, and it will have no decimal place, so the decimal will be 0. It has the label. For the label, we'll put in what we want to name the string or how it will be appearing in the output. So we can label it the respondent ID. So that's how we label it. And the values, we have none, we have no missing values and such. So when we check on the data view, you'll find that it appears as the first column, and it is appearing as a ruler, indicating that it is a scale. A scale variable is one that is continuous. An ordinal is either a 0 or a 1. It only has 2 instances, while nominal has more than 2 instances. Let's say if it is a Likert scale data, there is strongly agree, disagree, and such. So that is the major difference. Ordinal data is only of 2 variables, while nominal data has a range of variables. Then the next we have to have the last, let's have the last name. Last name. You have to note something. If I input last name with a space between T and N, when I click enter, it will give me an error, because when we are naming variables, SPSS only accepts when there are no spaces between the variable names. For example, you can name it as last name as only one word, or last name using an underscore. Last name using underscore, last underscore name. Then you click enter. If you put any other variable, for example, last name and a dash, it will not give you the right, it will give you an error signal. For example, it will give you an error signal. Therefore, you only have to use it as an underscore or one word. So last name. So let's use the underscore for now. The next is for the last name. Let's go and check the data type. The data type has to be string, because it is a string. A name is usually a string, and you can increase or decrease the width of the last name. You do not have to, it's not compulsory for you to use 8, because some names are longer while some names are shorter. So you can use 15 so that even the longest name can fit, because 15 is uh, a long string. When you count the letters in a name, let me demonstrate what I'm saying. Assuming that the width is 4, and we come to the data view and give him a name such as which is the longest name that you ever know? Let's say Christopher. You see, when you type Chris, the Y CHRI, they are 4. So you cannot exceed 4. However, if we in the variables increase to 15, yes, 15, when we type the name Christopher, it fits and it does not give you an error message. Therefore, when you choose the width, you have to understand what kind of width are you saying or are you choosing, because it has to be within the range that you need. The next value we have to input. Let's say we are choosing age, the age of the individual. We made a mistake here. Let's choose it to be scale. Okay, age. Age is numeric, and for this case we are just using an age as a continuous variable. You will see somewhere where we can change the age to be a nominal variable according to what the needs that we have. For example, when we are grouping data, say less than 20 years, 20 to 25 years, 25 to 30 years, we can group the data and we can use a different uh, variable type, that is whose measure can be nominal. So let's select the age, and age for this case we are choosing it to be numeric, and we will not use decimal point, let it be 0, while the width is 8. That is normal because one cannot be more than 1,000 and something years, so that is normal. The label, we can use the age of the respondent. Our values, we have none, and I'll demonstrate what we can feed in the values later. Columns 8, align according to what you need, because we want, since this is a numerical value, will align to the right. But since the last name is a string value, string values are aligned to the left. You can align to the center if you wish. After the age, let's put the next value. Let's say we have location. Where does this person come from? Where does this person come from? Location. And location is a string. Let's put location to 10 characters. We can label this as where do you come from? Click enter. After the location, we can, let's insert a variable here, and you see it takes the default value as var variable 0001. When you come to the data view, this is what it indicates. But we can change this to date when the interview was conducted, and the data type in this case will be date. And we can choose what we need. You can choose this format. I prefer this format. Then we click OK, and this we can label as the date when the person gave in the response of the interview. But it is not compulsory. You can label it if you need. For now, I'll not label it. The next is let's have one question, one research question that we are investigating, and the variable name, I'll name it electric, and what I will put here is numeric. And numeric, it will have the width, let's put it as 20. Okay, and the decimal, we don't have no decimal. Then the research question is what we have been researching. Let's say, for example, what we have been investigating is if the electric trains are efficient for transport. So that is what I will type here. Electric trains are convenient for transport. Few responses, the respondents will give their view. Some will say it is convenient because of the speed and no traffic jams. Others will say it is not convenient because it does not give you the last mile delivery. For example, if you are using a train, you have to alight at the station and take another vehicle before you go to your house, or you go to the last mile where you want to go to your destination. While others say it is convenient because of the speed, because of no traffic jams, because of lower carbon emissions. So people have different views, and that is why now we have to investigate. So when we put the label here, we have used the label electric trains are convenient for transport. Others will agree, others will not agree. And that is when the values section is comes in. We have to input our values. Let's say for 1, we input strongly disagree. Then we add number 2, strongly agree. No, number 2 is disagree. Let's follow the right order. Number 2, disagree. Add number 3, neutral. Number 4, agree. And number 5 on the Likert scale will be strongly agree. We add and click OK. So we find that those that will say that the electric trains are convenient will click either agree or strongly agree. Those that do not agree or refuse or refute the claims that electric trains are convenient, they will strongly disagree. Then we click OK. So this is nominal. Now we chose numeric because when conducting analysis, let's say for example linear regression analysis or hypothesis testing, if we could have used this as string, it will always give us an error message. But if you use this as numeric, it will be possible to conduct hypothesis tests, multiple linear regression tests, and linear regression tests that is the main purpose of using SPSS when conducting the analysis. Now, after having these 6 variables, let's try to input data. Here we have the first respondent and we have him as Christopher. So let's give him an ID like 011. His age is 43. The date that this was conducted was 12th 56 no 12th January 2022. Let me check the format that I used for the dates. It's year, month, then date. Okay, let me use a month. Let me use the month, date, year. Okay, so the month is January 15th 2022. The location he comes from, let's say he comes from Texas. Are electric trains convenient for him? Let's use 3, where he is neutral. And we find that if we input 3, it becomes neutral. It automatically fetches the data that we had stored here and tells you that number 3 is neutral. And that is what is displayed here. You can either use, if you want to display it in numbers, you can click this that indicates either 3, and when you click it back, it indicates it as an alphabetic or alpha. Yeah, it indicates as a string. Number 2 is 12, code number 12. Then his name is Christine. His age is 32. The interview was conducted on January 12th, 2022. She comes from, let's say she comes from London, and her response is 1. She strongly disagrees. We can expand this so that you can see all the things that you want to see. Number 13 or ID 13. The next name is Kate. Her age is 23. Her interview was conducted in February 2nd February 2022. She comes from, let's choose a city such as Lisbon. For her, she strongly agrees. Fourth respondent, let's have Peter. No less, his ID will be 14. The last name is Peter. His age is 28. The interview was conducted on March the 16th, 2022. Peter comes from Nairobi, and what he does is he agrees for. And the last is let's give him code ID 15, and the last name is Albert. He is 55. The interview was conducted on April the 12th, 2022. He comes from New York, and what he does is he does not agree. So this is how we feed data into SPSS. These are the basics of feeding data into SPSS. In some cases, this is the first. In some instances, we may have to fetch data. You come to File and import data into the new data. That is a new file. Then we import data from Excel. I'm importing data from a new file, and that is why I had to click New Data. So I import, let's say for example, I'm using divorce data for divorce data that I had collected previously. Then I click it, then I click Open. When opening the file, I'm opening the file. The data is contained in sheet 1, and we read variables names from the first row, percentage values to determine the data type, 95%. Ignore hidden rows and columns, okay. Remove leading spaces from string values and such, we can do such. You can find that my data I had already organized it, and that is how it will appear. Assuming we do not read the first rows, this is how it will appear, such a way that it will have V1, V2, V3, V4, V5. But we have to know that the first row in my Excel sheet gives the variable name. The data is here. Let me open it so that you can see what I'm implying. Yes, this is the data that I'm importing, and we are importing this as the headers. And this is what I am importing, the ID, the HDU, black, all this is what I am importing. So this first row is what I have chosen here as it has to be picked as it is as the headers. Then I click OK. Concerning the data types and these other things, I notice that there are other variables here that ought not to have been there, but you get the idea. So that if I click OK, the data is imported in this. So what I needed earlier, I will show you when I go back to the data view and eliminate some of the variables. So this is what I need. Okay, so I can come to the variable view, and from variable number 7 to variable number 15, I don't need them because they are calculated files that I had already done in the other file. So I click clear. I want to clear all these. Clear. Yeah. So I have only the strings or the variables that I need, and that is represented in this sheet. So that is how you can import data into SPSS. Now, when it comes to formatting the data, you can format the data according to what you need. You can first input the labels according to what you are seeing here. ID can be as labeled as just the ID. HEDU is whether the person has higher education and how much has he had higher education. So there are three instances here. There's more than 16 years, there's 12 to 15 years, and also there's less than 12 years. That can be coded here. And first, before you code, you have to change these to the required uh, variable name as I had indicated in this. You have to change the variable name to you have to change the data type so that when you come to the values, you can indicate it as how you need it. So thank you for your time. Welcome, so that we may learn SPSS together. We will be able to analyze data and also use SPSS for various statistical analysis that we have in everyday life. Thank you so much. Like, share, subscribe, and I look forward to having you in the next lesson.